We genuinely live in one of the most bizarre eras in American and global history, ladies and gentlemen. The President of the United States of America is making accurate predictions about the stock and cryptocurrency markets, which are generating trillions of dollars in profits for investors. Among many other things, China is now actively intervening in U.S. politics to protect its interests in a very peculiar propagandistic manner. This will have a significant impact on the price of XRP, the stock market, the rest of the cryptocurrency market, and pretty much everything else at the same time. However, Trump essentially boosted XRP and the cryptocurrency market as a whole, giving everyone a great opportunity to invest before a huge pump. Furthermore, not many people actually anticipated this to occur. And I have to admit that I don't think this place will be completely green for the foreseeable future. In the coming days, I do believe that the markets will continue to experience some crazy activity. However, a lot of pretty significant things are happening at the moment, particularly in the technology sector, which is known to be strongly linked to the cryptocurrency market in the United States and, of course, the global market. As you can see, the United States publishes reciprocal tariff exclusions for shipbuilding equipment, laptops, and smartphones. In other words, essentially all laptops and cell phones will not be subject to the actual tariffs. This is a massive American industry. Almost all of the leading American corporations are in the technology sector. You look at companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and so on. These are the biggest companies in the world, and they are all closely related to the chip manufacturing and computer smartphone industries, of course, because they are so dependent on them. In other words, Trump is essentially bailing these individuals out by permitting their exclusion. Apple is still able to produce its phones, computer processors, and other items in China. This is now a little disappointing to me. He may have justifications for this, such as the possibility that changing this may have a detrimental short-term impact on the U.S. economy, but in my opinion, this is not what America needs in the long run. Therefore, I sincerely aspire to learn more about their motivations. Perhaps there's a reason I'm not giving credit here. Please share any more information you may have about this in the comments section below. However, this has undoubtedly led to a huge short-term rise for the IT industry, as investors have effectively realized that if everything that makes these computers function is no longer going to be tariffed, then there isn't as much danger anymore. All of these are not included. Alright, we should be able to purchase our technology stocks once more. Amazon will now claim that it will still be greatly impacted. Although there is much more going on here, I do believe that cryptocurrencies will undoubtedly gain greatly from this news. As you can see, this was the highly popular post on Donald Trump's Truth Social. Now is a great time to buy, he says. After posting that on his Truth Social, he received hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of likes. Following that recommendation, a reciprocal tariff halt of 90 days was declared. The Fed stated unequivocally that it is prepared to stabilize the market if necessary. The announcement was made of reciprocal tariff exemptions on computer chips and smartphones. The market capitalization of the S&P 500 increased by $3.5 trillion after Trump urged China to request a call for negotiations. Naturally, there have also been some really fantastic runs in the cryptocurrency market. After this small nugget, XRP is currently trading very near to $2.15. For once, you know the little guys did win. This time, whomever took Donald Trump's counsel performed well. Obviously, this hasn't always been the case, but this time around, Donald Trump's statement was accompanied by a lot of positive news. However, the Chinese reaction is what I truly want to investigate here. Alright, the Chinese embassy in the United States recently posted this. It's fascinating to see that they are essentially using propaganda to persuade Americans to support the removal of tariffs. China would obviously not even bother assembling these kinds of items if they had no concern for these levies. However, I'm going to play this for you guys quickly and sort of outline the issues I believe will result from this. But pay great attention to this. Small companies are the foundation of the economy in the center of America. However, as they fight to survive the consequences of the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, these tiny firms are facing a more intense storm. Based on a survey of almost 100 small firms importing items from China, a piece published in the New York Times on March 1st highlights the growing pain brought on by President Trump's tariffs. The targeting of China by Mr. Trump has caused chaos for millions of small enterprises. Tariffs were being borne by American companies, not Chinese suppliers. They are compelled to decide between increasing prices for customers or reducing their own profits. Due to their higher cost, domestic alternatives were typically not feasible. There were fewer alternatives and the quality was lower. In my opinion, the entire policy is predicated on a fiction and a fallacy. The misconception is that these tariffs are funded by the foreign nation. False. I work for a U.S. corporation and am a U.S. citizen. These tariffs are paid for by me. China is effectively saying, okay, you guys are going to pay for these tariffs because we refuse to per the report. That's basically what they're saying now. They claim that in order to cover the additional taxes they must pay, all of these Chinese manufacturers will now hike their prices. The additional cost will be passed on to the business owners who resell their items in America, even though the Chinese corporation will originally be responsible for paying the duties. However, this again fails to address the fundamental problem. The United States of America does not make or generate these things. All of them are being produced abroad. And for this reason I'm angry that Trump excluded shipbuilding equipment and computers and smartphones, as this is where the great majority of Chinese suppliers generate a significant portion of their revenue. Therefore, there will be less pressure on Americans to genuinely collaborate now that these men are exempt from all of these restrictions. And since Donald Trump did create an exception for big businesses, you might argue that Apple will be manufacturing in the United States of America. This will actually hurt small business owners. Yes, that is accurate. However, the great majority of it will still be done abroad, which goes against what most Americans desire to do. Therefore, I believe that you must go all the way if you truly want to. I'm also a little irritated that some people are being left out while small and medium-sized enterprises are left to fight this battle alone, and corporations are getting out of jail free, partisan. I'd really like to know what you guys think about that, but I also know what you guys are really interested in, and what the actual effects of this will be on the economy, now that we know that this is Trump's plan. For 90 days he is suspending tariffs outside of China. He's claiming that in China things like computer chips and smartphones are excluded. And when it comes to the negotiations with China, small and medium-sized enterprises are essentially left in the dark. Basically, from the perspective of small and medium-sized businesses, it will compel individuals to cease doing business with China. It appears that big businesses will still be able to conduct business with China, at least in the technology sector. Therefore, nothing will actually change there. However, what impact will this have on the economy? For several industries that currently rely on Chinese products for their manufacture, it will undoubtedly be difficult. And until something significant occurs, which as we all know does occur pretty frequently, it will take us a few years to truly figure it out. Almost every day a significant update announcement is made. We will undoubtedly receive more today as well. As we can see, the SEC has now published its instructions, and both the rules and their purpose are quite obvious. Crypto is here to stay, and those who own XRP have anticipated this all along, don't you think? This is fantastic. At last we are gaining clarity. It's great to know that the new SEC head has been sworn in. As of April 10th, April 11th, and April 12th, they are currently making updates to their website. They've posted fresh films, speeches, announcements, meetings, events, and more on their website, and they're essentially saying, okay, these are the rules. We do it this way. Yes, there may be some uncertainty surrounding China, small and medium-sized business relations with China and tariffs, but if you guys want to be, following the regulatory guidelines, here you go. This is great, and crypto companies are very happy about it. It will allow those partnerships to finally happen. However, be aware that while everyone is negotiating new trade agreements, tariffs on the rest of the globe are essentially on hold for 90 days. And that's wonderful. As a result of these tariffs, the US government is currently receiving billions of new money. Additionally, it appears that income taxes will be reduced. Indeed, positive things are taking place here. Now, what is the market's response to everything I just told you? As we can see, XRP has increased by 5.34%. Amazing stuff. I am aware that this has made folks very happy. We were nearly above $2.20 over here, but we have since seen a slight correction from the peak. We are now at 212. However, what will actually occur here? Basically, it will depend entirely on the relationship between the United States and China. There is still no moratorium on the tariffs. What will occur there is yet unknown to us. Additionally, the tariff figures remain above 100%, except computer chips and smartphones. Therefore, whether or not we find a solution this coming week essentially determines how the markets move from here. I anticipate a lot of red if we don't. If we do, we might even find a great rally, or we might just cruise along where we are at the moment. You should therefore keep an eye out for that. As you can see, you'll want to make sure that you're trading around it and selling the local tops, just like we did here after purchasing all of these local bottoms. To make it a reality, gentlemen, be sure to join the Crypto Crusaders. Complete the 3 steps: register, make a deposit, and send your email. Additionally, you will have access to all of my transactions, so you may make money with us. Since we make the majority of those trades over the period of 3 or 4 days, we recently finished a trade that was 65% profitable. Therefore, I want to make sure that you can all participate and gain access to all of that for free and fully transparently today by clicking the link below to join Crypto Crusaders. I'll see you all shortly. Goodbye.